What's up guys, Dale here, back with another video about Dragon Ball FighterZ. Obviously, you know, this is the new game, this is a hot game everyone's talking about, and I wanted to make a video talking about characters I would love to see in the game. I was going to mention one character who already just got announced anyway, it was Trunks, but I still have a small list of I think 7 characters, or I think a bit more, 7 or 8 characters who I'd love to see in the game. Now these characters are not based on, you know, who I think are just aesthetically my favorite characters, or you know, through personality means, but through their techniques that they have that I think could bring a uniqueness, you know, because in this game I think the developers are not looking for characters that people find the most, you know, the coolest characters that people generally like, but they're trying to find characters that have all unique play styles, which would make the game a much more diverse game to play. Whereas instead of having several different characters that kind of play the same, they're gonna try and have a lot of variation. So with the first character I want to talk about is Hit from Dragon Ball Super. Now Hit is a very interesting character because, as you all know, he can stop time temporarily, which is something that is it's crazy. If is a character in a fighting game that could possess an ability to stop time temporarily, if there's any way to balance that, that could be an extremely cool way to play the game. And so I think if maybe they can play off in a way that he's moving ultra fast, but it's actually, he stops time quickly and then he attacks you, or he has some kind of, you know, he has a lot of counter move, so he could be a kind of counter character where you know, you can play on defense, and once your opponent strikes you can counter it and you stop time, and you know, you can initiate your attack first. So I think that's a very that'll be a very cool character to play around with on their part. So on to the next character. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would want this character in the game, Broly. Now Broly, you know, he's a very unique kind of Saiyan in the Dragon Ball Z universe. He's very big, first of all, and I think he could be like one of those powerhouse characters that take up most of the screen and have a different hitbox than most of the other characters in the game. And I think if he could benefit from slow but very powerful moves, which would be a very interesting character. Again, another unique character amongst the current roster that we have now. Now onto the next character. I think Piccolo would be another great addition to the game. Now Piccolo is a very cool character for me personally. I think he's a very cool character. I don't know about everyone else, but he's not just a very simple character. He has a lot of things about him. He kind of has this healing factor, and he kind of has this, he can stretch his arms out and everything. And I think, like Majin Buu, he can have a lot of combos that could attack from close range, but then also push an enemy to mid range and even long range and still be able to attack from there. And he also has a lot of special abilities, you know, like special beam cannon and whatnot, that he could use to you know, get his one up on the enemy whilst keeping some range, or he could have some close range combat and still be very effective through melee. Now I'm just gonna, you know, I'm just going through these characters very briefly. I don't want to take too much of your time, but next character is a movie character again, Super Janemba. Now I think Super Janemba would be a good idea, mainly because I was gonna say his sword, but you know, now we've got Trunks, but he also has a sword which is very useful. But the main thing I want to talk about is his kind of dimensional movement. You know how in the movie he kind of uses like instant transmission like Goku, but he kind of like fades into another dimension and he comes out another side, or he can punch his fist into like a wormhole, and then it comes out on another side. So that could be a very cool character to use if, you know, if you're at a distance from your opponent and you can just punch behind you and it kind of attacks them still from that distance, and you can just, you know, you can create combos off of that. I think that would be very, very, very cool to use. Now onto the next character, Dr. Gero. Now Dr. Gero, I don't think anybody would think about Dr. Gero, or Android 20 as he was called in the you know, in the Saiyan, well no, in the Android saga just before Cell came. I think his key absorption technique would be quite useful. It could be like a clutch move that turns the tables at the end of the game, or even just a way to keep your enemy from using any special attacks throughout the entire game. And you know, it could change the way someone has to approach playing the game, which again is, you know, boasts the idea of having a very unique roster that I hope this game has anyway. So yeah, there's not much to say about Dr. Gero but that, absorption technique, but that's very cool. And on to the next set of characters. I think this is a duo, Android 17 and 18, and I don't expect them to have like a character that's 17 and 18, but I would like to see 17 and 18 in the game, mainly because they have this 3v3 kind of versus mode, and I think 17 and 18 could benefit from having these kind of tag team moves. I don't know, but I think they're generally unique, nice unique characters they're not able to charge their ki, which is another thing that they could have that makes them unique from the rest of the roster, but they could be very efficient in gaining ki when they attack. So they could have I think in the game when you attack, I think your ki meter goes up. I'm not too sure about that, but I would genuinely assume so that would happen. But so for 17 and 18, I think it would be cool for them to gain ki faster than everyone else by attacking, instead of having to charge for their energy. And they have a very unique moveset in the way they move, the way they attack. They're very fluid, and they're free. They have a lot of free motion. They don't have very clunky controls to them. Now onto the second to last character. 2 humans left actually. First one is Krillin. Now Krillin, again, a character I don't think many people will be thinking about when they look at the roster of Dragon Ball FighterZ right now. But I think Krillin and his Destructo Disc, and he's a character that has a lot of ki manipulation moves, that he shoots out ki attacks, and he kind of, he manipulates them whilst he shot them, so he can shoot a move and it goes up, and then he can bring it back down on the enemy. So I think he could be a character that could have a lot of tricky key based moves that move around everywhere, and he obviously has the Destructo Disc as well, which he can throw and he can make it come back. And I think that would be kind of move that can catch off opponents. So that's why I included Krillin in my list. And for the last character, I wanted to say Master Roshi. Now Master Roshi is a character that I think I think people would actually think of Master Roshi because he has, he obviously has his martial arts fighting style and his Kamehameha and everything, but he also has his charger mode, which he can go from small to big at any time. And I think he could really benefit as a character who can attack and then suddenly get bigger and deal damage and then shrink back to his original form. And I think I don't know. I don't know too much, but I wanted to include Master Roshi on the list because he just seems like a character that could have a very interesting playing style, and I think that could benefit a lot of people who like to surprise their opponents with just an array of just random moves that you can string together and deal some massive damage. So that was my list for characters I want to see in Dragon Ball FighterZ based off of their unique abilities. Tell me what you think about in the comment section below. I would love to know what everyone else is thinking. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later. Peace.